We had no questions from last time, so I'm gonna talk about the Valve leak of that game Deadlock. So, um, yeah, all of a sudden I wake up and there's news, new Valve game leaked. And the first thing I saw of it was a frag movie. Someone made these horrible looking like TikTok montages that are so over edited. It's like that fucking analysis of an 8-minute Minecraft video on my side channel. Like just horrendous. Okay, I am using the right microphone. I just have to double check. I get really paranoid that I'm not. I'm using like my webcam mic sometimes. What was I talking about? Right. So this Valve thing came out. These horribly edited montage movies of very boring looking gameplay, and it got a lot of people to ask, "What is this?" This is apparently some new leaked game from Valve that has like a beta test that players are just recording and just sharing all over the place. And luckily, I have an answer. I have an answer to explain what Deadlock is. This is actually an exclusive thing. I reached out to Gabe Newell, and he likes me a lot more than that Tyler Vicker, whoever the fuck that is. We have a good relationship, and he passed me along exactly like what the vision is for Deadlock. And so you heard it here first, folks. So Deadlock is FPS, hobby-grade co-op campaign, genre-blended, multi-mode competitive esports, meta-growth, choice, plus epic Deadlock heroes. So I'm hoping that cleared up a lot of confusion that you might have had. I mean, it's all there. I think it makes a lot of sense now. And once he really said that thing about the about the competitive esports and the choice plus epic, I think I really saw the vision. I think I really see it. You might not be smart enough to see it, but you can trust me that I am. So Deadlock is apparently this like 6v6 lane-based like MOBA thing. A lot of people were saying Overwatch. I think it's actually probably closer to not Battleborn. Paladins. Too many like one-word games. Paladins is, which I think I've talked about before, which is actually more of like an Overwatch, but with more MOBA elements. I think Paladins is kind of fun. It's got some cool ideas in it. Didn't see. Oh my god, I forgot about fucking Gigantic. Do you guys remember Gigantic? Yeah, that thing is getting resurrected, and then I downloaded it because I heard, oh my god, this game died so soon. It didn't deserve it, and we're having a beta test of this new version we're gonna like revive it and release it. And I downloaded the beta test, and I played like an AI match, and I was like, that was kind of neat. All right, let me check it out with real people. And then I couldn't get a game for 10 minutes, and then I closed it, and then the test ended the next day. So I never ended up talking about it on the podcast because I had almost zero thoughts about it. So there is some weird. Okay, these leaks are kind of weird because there's like a lot of them, ranging from little snippets of gameplay to these awfully edited frag movies, all the way to like just people demonstrating all of the different characters' abilities, to a guy giving gameplay tips for a game that isn't out yet, where like almost everything I imagine is subject to change. And just narrating over it. And that video, that one that I saw, did explain, I think some parts about the game that I was curious about. So it's like a 6v6 game, third-person shooter. Characters have abilities. They have like a primary weapon and some abilities to go along with it. They have an ultimate that they unlock at some point, and they there are minions. There are towers. There is last hitting, there is denying, there's denials, which I guess makes sense. if you're working at Valve, you might like Dota. So they carried over that mechanic. Do I like denials? I don't know. It's kind of like a taste thing. I never played Dota enough to like really appreciate it. There is a shop. So there is like a resource called souls. It's called like souls, and you get them by killing players. You get them by last hitting mobs. There's a jungle. There's basically like jungle camps. There's an item shop that you spend your souls on, and for like perks, and the perks just looked like do more damage or have your bullets ricochet or heal from damage you deal. You know, it seemed kind of basic. The whole thing kind of strikes me as like okay. All right. There's a couple aspects to that feeling. Number one is that this is a genre that has become, I think, a little bit oversaturated. There's obviously TF2, which I don't know who owns that, but like maybe someone could get working on that instead of like making a different game. There's Overwatch. There was Paladins. And then there's like, you get these weird sort of split. There's like a big spectrum, right? There's a spectrum, and Overwatch fits somewhere, probably on like one extreme end. And then there's like Smite on the other end. And then in the middle, you got a bunch of other stuff. There was that game, I can't even remember the name of it. It had like a realistic art style, and then it died. There's been a lot of games that attempted this kind of character-based MOBA-ish shooter thing where you're like third person or first person doing combat on a map with teammates, and you've got abilities, and you might be, and there's some kind of resource build up or something, and there's like an objective for the map. They've all tried to do some kind of thing of that vague kind of soup of ideas, and it's just, I don't know if people were really excited for it. I think people were excited in that span of a few years after Overwatch came out. And then, I don't know, I think people soured on Overwatch so much that like enthusiasm for the genre as a whole just sort of went down. It's just something that's, I think, I say like oversaturated, and usually when I think of oversaturated, I think of like, oh, there's like 10 games like this, and I'm like, it's not that many. I just don't know if it's that exciting to people. I don't know if it was ever that exciting to people. It was in like, let's see. No, it probably was. I think it's just the novelty's worn off. I saw a lot of people saying like 10 years too late. I think that's probably true. I can resonate with that. There's just kind of a profound lack of excitement over this whole project, which is kind of surprising when you hear Valve has a game and it's leaked. There's another aspect to it, which is that this is a beta, and a lot of things could be subject to change. Number one, the art style. So this has like a very cartoonish art style. That will probably stay the same, but certain aspects of it, like I thought the lighting looked very boring. The lighting and the shading was very dull to me. When I think of the game in my mind right now, after watching like 10 minutes of footage total, and there's more, but I just kind of think of like, it just feels like there's like a gray haze over it. Like it's like there's like a desaturated filter or something like that. The actual gameplay wasn't very exciting looking. Maybe it plays better than it is as like it's a better game to play than to watch. It was very, very visually busy. There's a gigantic map. There's a bunch of different icons for your abilities. There's like random shit. Like there's like a counter for how far you've traveled. I don't know if that's just like a debug thing in the beta or something. The portraits of like your teammates at the top are gigantic. Uh, excuse me. And just because of the type of game it is, there's just particle effects going on everywhere in every firefight. And now I want you to imagine that, but with 1,000 different pre-made like TikTok preset transitions and absolutely disgusting, weird bloom lighting effects applied to it in post-processing. And the game didn't really look that exciting to me. Nothing about the gameplay really stood out. Visually, it looked kind of bland. I think what didn't help is there was a lot of like... The one point of contention is there's a character in there who has like a lot of stun mechanics. Like that seems to be their whole thing, is they just stun you and then kill you. And that's just like not a very... just like not fun to watch, I guess. It's not very fun to watch. It's kind of fun to play. It's really funny to watch 1,000 TikTok effects over that. Like it's this super hype thing. And I'm watching the gameplay and it's like he stuns him and then he does like half health damage to this guy, and then the guy like runs around a corner, and then the other guy walks around the corner and then shoots him twice and the guy dies. And it was like like it looked like a parody. Yeah. I think the only reason there's any interest in it right now is because it's a Valve game. If it didn't have the Valve name behind it, I don't think anyone would be talking about it. It's just because it's them. I didn't see anything that felt new. Like, really nothing that felt truly new or unique. It felt like just I can't even think about, unless there is some really specific mechanic, some really specific cool mechanic, or the way that the game handles something. I just don't. There's no sell. There's like no selling point at the moment, which I guess makes sense because they're not trying to sell it at the moment. I'm just failing to see like the vision. Like, where did this come from? Is this one of those projects that took like 7 years to make, and now they're like just way too late to the party? Kind of like with Artifact. Is this one of those? Yeah. What I find interesting is Valve actually has a long history of doing something that I have rarely seen, that I think is probably one of the most interesting things about them, which is that a lot of their projects are not like the CEO says we need the Overwatch killer. A lot of them are actually just grabbed from small independent projects. Team Fortress was a Quake mod. Dota was a Warcraft 3 mod. Portal started out as a student project. Those are like the big examples. Valve doesn't have that many different games, right? But I think it's interesting how many of them started out as someone independently was doing something cool, and then they came to Valve, or Valve came to them, or Valve was actively scouting for interesting, promising ideas, and they they picked them up because they saw the potential, and it worked out tremendously for them. And this is weird because this feels like something Ubisoft would make, you know? Like, this feels like someone at Ubisoft said, we need a thing like Overwatch or Paladins or what have you. And then the team had to like scramble to try to come up with anything compelling that hadn't been done before. What I think is curious is that here's what I find so weird. So Valve has done that at least 3 times, right? Of picking up these small projects. And somehow they've never used Steam for this. They have never used the massive independent scene on their own marketplace to just like siphon or scout ideas or scout people with ideas, right? And pick them up to develop something. I think that's really strange, actually. kind of a missed opportunity. Maybe they have. Maybe they have actually done it, and it's just never worked out. I'd be very curious to know, because like if I was like a publisher, right? And I wanted to take this angle where I'm not like snapping my fingers and cracking a whip and telling people to make something. I'm going to be like, I'm going to look for an idea that is already been proven from someone who's already proven themselves, that they think they have an idea, but they just need more reach, or they need more development, or they need resources to make it into a full-fledged thing. And then I would just fucking scoop them up and be like, here's a small budget and a little team, and do your thing now for me, and I'll advertise for it, and it can go on our storefront, and it'll all be cool. And I'm surprised they haven't done anything like that. That seems kind of obvious, actually. And there's so many. There are so many Steam games. Do you think none of the developers on Steam, like the 5-man dev team, wouldn't be psyched to work for Valve? No, and instead we're getting Deadlock. Yeah. So, kind of meh. I'm whatever on it. Tell me what you guys think. I've seen some people say it looks fun. Fair enough. I'm waiting on it to get some kind of official announcement. I have no idea. There's really no clue. I have no clue like what the final. Apparently this is a beta build, so it is somewhat close to full release. In fact, there were so many videos being sent out. There were so many leaks that some people theorized that this is actually Valve's marketing strategy. I don't know if that's true. I think at the very least they are probably paying close attention to what the feedback is from the leaks, and I'd be curious to see if that caused any sort of pivot in development. Whatever. We'll see what it turns into. If I don't want it, I won't buy it, I suppose.